We're going to the beach. Hindi pa kami nakakalayo. Ewan ko hanggang saan talagal to. Ano? Say hi nga, Rod. Mag-vlog ka nga. Oh, hello! We're going to the beach. Walking on the road. The climate is so nice. What is that? What is that sound? Nag-enjoy siya, maglakad. Pagod na nga ako! Pagod ka na? Oo! On the road. The view is so nice, so green. Very green. What?
Umuulan ka doon?
The other side of the mountain?
Yeah?
No? I think so. It's rain shower.
If it's raining, it's white.
Yeah. Come on, let's go. At last, we're here already on the beach. What?
Kind of dream I can't be so.
Iwan ko.
We were right
Sige.
till we were.
Ay, hindi pwede.
Built a
Maano.
home and watched it burn.
Hindi yung barko bangkain.
I didn't wanna leave you. I didn't wanna lie. Started to cry.
Dad.
Then remembered
There, where's the jellyfish? That's not a jellyfish.
found us a flower.
That's a grass.
And my name in the sand. Talked
Sea
to
grass.
myself
I want to get down with it.
See things you
Yeah,
don't
because we saw it in the sea life, right? Are you asking if there's a jellyfish or are you afraid of the jellyfish? Because it was easy, right?
When I was five, you like something.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do?
And there was an orange. Orange.
What?
One in there I was trying to see the She said,
Really?
There will never be another one like you. There will never be another one who can do the things you do. Oh, will you give another chance? Will you try a little try? Please stop and you remember we were together anyway. All right. And if you have a certain evening you can lend to me, I'll give it all right back to you, how it has to be with you. I know you move, and you're mine, 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 and you're mine. Oh, will you stop and think and wonder just what you'll see out on the train yard, nursing penitentiary? It's gone. I cry out long. Play it, brother. grizzly bear jaws hot on your heels. Do you want to stop and whisper in Saturday shore? The whole world's a savior. Who could ever ask for more? Do you remember? Will you stop? Will you stop the pain? And there will never be another one like you. There will never be another one who can do the things you do. Oh, will you give another chance? Will you try, little try? Please stop and you remember we were together. Think and wonder how I must feel out on the meadows while you roam the field. I'm alone for you, and I cry. You're sweating, look at him. Optical promise. You'll be dead and in hell before I'm born. Sure thing. Bridesmaid. The only solution. Isn't it amazing?
Good evening, early morning, wherever you are. I hope everybody is doing well this evening. I neglected until I saw Alan Killian's 5x5. Thank you so much, Alan. I neglected to set my monitor. Let me get that done real quick. They're already over in the Discord. Some goober posted, he's going after Shuggy this morning. Shuggy says I don't have receipts, I don't prove anything, so I'm giving Shuggy what he asked for. Not demeaning him, it's not derogatory. Why don't you wait till I speak before you pass judgment, fool? Not demeaning him. There we go. Why don't you wait till I speak before you pass judgment? A lot of material to go through. A bunch of it's been, a good portion is sifted. And now at this stage in the game, will be sorted for relevance. Relevance and pertinence. There definitely is an issue with listening and reading comprehension in the the majority of the listeners from the WNN camp, which literally amounts to be maybe a tad more than 100 people. Anthony Caruso has joined the podcast. I wonder if he'll be regular. I wonder if the Splinters podcast on Spotify can part with such a talented backhand slapper, you know, to keep the secretarial staff in line and keep the sandwiches made. That Anthony Caruso should put in an application with Retard. He would fit in very well with Retard and the misogynistic culture at Generally Specific. I'll bet you, Anthony Caruso over at Retard's place would have a blank check. Oops.
Nakakalayo.
Oops, hang on. I kind of fucked that up. I'll bet you Anthony Caruso would have a blank check as far as backhanded slapping goes over at the generally specific channel. Mr. Caruso, that pregnant woman had a sip of alcohol. What should we do? Why, love, I'd backhand slap the bitch. Mr. Caruso has an answer for everything. Thank you, Victor B, for the comment on the pictures. For the goobers over at wherever they are who were critical of the fact that Rayton says Caruso. Is that, did I hear, is that the crackle of Italian lightning? Cover your heads, kids. Logan Sandman says, didn't we discuss the number of WNN subscribers when Dan got demonetized? He had 1,100 subscribers, but never had over 100 people in the side chat. Dan had the Welsh News Network actually had 11,200 subscribers. And what you put in was 1,100. You dropped a zero there, bro. He had 11,200 subscribers. And when all the bullshit happened, he lost 100 subscribers. That's all he ever really had. Everything else was bought. Silly fucking people over there. Never saw a new face from from the years amount of time that they went from like 300 subscribers to 11,000. They never saw a fucking new face in the side chat, but they all thought they gained 11,000 subs. I mean, it's either ignorance or delusion or, knowledge that the whole thing was a farce. There's really only three options there. The people were either self-deluded, they knew, or one, self-deluded. Two, they knew that it was all fucking smoke and mirrors and a lie. Or three, they're just dumb motherfuckers. I'm going with 1 and 3. And a small percentage that knew without doubt that deception was afoot. Odd that in a time that so many were asking for receipts to prove that the monies were sent to the charitable organizations, and Dan just not only refused to show receipts, but started calling women cunts and shit like that when they were a little more firm about asking. And I mean, this is not to demean Shuggy. This is to state what I feel is the truth of the matter. He's either exceptionally stupid, which I doubt. I don't think that can be the case. He was British Intel Corps, for Christ's sake, or so he says. So, I mean, he was either really dumb and got his position in the British Intel Corps because he was someone's nephew, or, he knew that the truth wasn't being told and he just played along with it. We're going to take a look at just a couple of minutes from the Irish Demon stream. I believe it was on May 27th, where Shuggy showed up to give an update. With Demon on the Welsh News Network situation. We get over to Demon's channel here, and I'll bring the share up. There will never be another one like you. There will never be another one that can do what you do. Will you dance a little dance? Will you try a little try? Hold on. All right, so we're going to this piece update on Welsh News Network. Let me get the share going on here. There we go. Let me full screen this. Do we want to see the chat? I think we do want to see the chat. I think the chat has a little more information value than the actual screen does. Get this set up right here. All right, so this is 2 months ago. 2,847 people have viewed this stream. I think quite a few of them had the wool pulled over their eyes. This is May 27, 2024. Now, no offense to Demon, who, you know, after our last little interchange when this kind of broke in the assault on Miss Mandy. Hello, baby. Good to see you. How's your back? Andy Cat, which, Logan likes to refer to as your stanky pussy. Caruso. Is that what saucing the crust sounds like? Hey, Anthony, come on home. It's spaghetti day. I thought Wednesday was spaghetti day. Every day is spaghetti day and Italian lightning at Caruso's. The boy's not even Italian. That's the fucked up part. He's not even Italian. Weak ass attempt to game the viewers. All right, this is May 27, 2024. Demon, no offense, Demon. This is either a fluff piece to, bubble wrap Shuggy, or Demon is, pumping Shuggy for information. It could quite possibly be both, because I don't think Shuggy is really aware of what goes on around him most of the time. All right, here we go. Let's see what we see. I'm going to let it roll probably about 2 minutes. We're going to loop this and play it a couple times. Laura Rader, good to see you. Do we have a Laura and a we don't have a carte blanche, do we? Do we have a carte blanche? Carte blanche, carte blanche, carte blanche. Rebel says, who's the guy with the big pot belly in the picture? I don't have a big pot belly in that picture. Come on, cut the shit. Logan already said I had a weak-ass beard. And my hair was mid-length, in between short and long. So, yeah, I wasn't feeling it at that point in time. But, my wife is hot, so I don't really give a shit. Logan Sandman said, Shuggy said he was Naval Intelligence Corps. I'm beginning to think that means searching for belly button lint. Did he say Naval Intelligence? I thought he said he started in the Navy when he was talking to Josh on Josh's stream. And then he said, like you, Josh, I went into the... So I thought he said he went British Intel Corps, which is Army, I believe, British Army. Rebel says, you call that a beard. Ha, ha, ha. Well, what do you call it if it's not a beard? I mean, I'm not like I'm not like these prepper dudes and that fucking weirdo Todd. I got a job, dude. I gotta make sure my shit is kept in, decent. Carte Blanche is with us, says that Logan Sandman. Don't confuse Coded. He doesn't wear readers. What did whatever Logan did, that might have confused me, Cart. I don't have my glasses on, so I missed it completely. Laura Ryder says, looking for my CVS receipt. It's about 4 yards long, hard to miss. Maybe you need fucking readers too, Laura. Or maybe you should put your readers on if you've already gotten them. Writes on, says that codedfriend.001, there's a reason the U.S. military has to go to all the European countries to help fight their wars for them. Yep, there is. There is. I wish we would stop fucking doing it. I mean, we should have just let Europe fall to communism. The wall still would have went down. Communism still would have collapsed. And, we wouldn't have this conflict between the Ukraine and Russia. We'd be pulling oil and natural gas out of that region, taking what we wanted for ourselves and using the rest to pay for the rebuilding of Europe. And to be honest with you, I'm tired of that schmarmy European, upper crust attitude and the fake everydayers, the working men who think they're upper crust in Europe. Big deal. You're upper crust in what? Countries that are smaller than most U.S. states? That's why we have to fight their fucking battles for them. I mean, a big part of the problem is the reason why the European settlers that left and came to North America turned their back on Europe. And America was, up until the First World War, was pretty much an isolationist nation. We didn't get involved in foreign affairs, and we would have been a lot better off if we, had stayed that way. So, the Europeans that came to America left for brighter days, better opportunities, and to not have to be involved in the fucking nonsensical arguing, which led to killing over stupid shit like Anglicans versus Catholics. Although there are pockets of Americans, that would still get into that fucking happy horse shit if they were able to or allowed to. Tuttle's one of them. He doesn't like the Protestants. You got the same fucking savior. That's why I think the majority of these people that claim to be Catholics or Christians in America are just paying lip service to be members of a social club. But that's just my opinion. All right, here we go. Let's have a listen. We'll comment after the listen.
And a number. Don't read it out.
Captain Dixie Normus. I knew it was my hat.
Biggest, yeah.
Biggest Dickus.
So let's just get one thing, because I saw this in your chat the other day.
Mm-hmm.
It is very easy for the veteran themselves to prove their service.
Absolutely.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proof.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is not.
All right, Shuggy has no ID card, but he has other proof. Okay.
On impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So Shuggy says it's nigh unimpossible, which is a misspeak because that would mean nigh means nearly. So if something is nearly unimpossible, then it is highly possible. The phrase should be nigh impossible, nearly impossible. Nigh is this again. This is this, upper crust. I'm a Shakespearean theater boy. Nobody says nigh. Nobody in your own fucking country says nigh. But you were educated so well, you use vocabulary from what fucking 300 years ago that nobody uses anymore. But that's how you distinguish yourself as the crusty crust part. Yes, Logan Sandman, I am Englishing. I doubt that Shuggy's level of education is as beneficial to him as he thinks it is. Okay, so it's virtually impossible, not nigh unimpossible, which would be highly likely, So we know it's not highly likely that any third party can verify veteran status in the UK. Demon and Irishman is going to, validate here. So Shuggy's telling you it's virtually impossible for a third party to validate another individual's service. But, Shuggy managed to get it done. So Shuggy's own statement, it's impossible. Did I misspeak that? Shuggy's own statement is that it's impossible, almost nearly very close to impossible for a third party like Shuggy to validate the military career of, say, another man like Dan.
Period. Unless they are deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need name, rank, number, and branch at the very least.
So name, rank, number, and branch are what you need at the very least. So that's the minimal information to verify. Name, rank, number, and branch.
So,
oh yeah, absolutely. And you probably have to be like in the line of next of kin somewhere for that to be appropriate for you to be able to get that and have a bloody good reason to get it.
Or have an appropriate reason, absolutely. The reason, hang on a second, the way I verified Dan's service initially, because this has been a question that's come up time and time again. There are various public sources that I have access to through the old boy net. And I proved name, DM Jones, rank, branch, and years of service. That's 4 points of information. And I was pretty safe that was a good match. Yeah, I was wrong. Hands up to that. I've been called out on that since it happened, and I'm absolutely hands up. But I had 4 points of information, which I corroborated.
He's hands up. He's admitting he got it wrong. But he had 4 points of information. So what were the 4 points that Shuggy said a third party needs minimally to verify? Name, rank, serial number, and branch. Did Shuggy have those? Let's listen to what Shuggy had. Let me roll this back a little bit.
DM Jones, rank, branch, and years of service. That's 4 points of information.
So he had 4 points of information, but he didn't have what he just stated less than a minute ago were the minimum requirements to validate someone. Name, rank, serial number, and branch. Did Shuggy, let's listen again to what Shuggy actually had. Because Shuggy out of his own mouth told everyone what a third party minimally needs to validate the military service of another person.
That I have access to through
and
various.
roll this
This has
back
been
a little more.
the reason.
To get that and have a bloody good reason to get it.
Or have an appropriate reason, absolutely. The reason. Hang on a second. The way
and you have to have an appropriate reason to get the records. Shuggy doesn't. So Shuggy doesn't have the right to get Dan's record. Did Shuggy break the fucking law here? Huh. Shuggy doesn't have the right to, so Shuggy circumvented the right to get the information. And then, because Dan didn't give him approval to get it, Shuggy would have had the right for minimum data points that he himself said one needed, which he didn't have. He was missing Dan's serial number. The hat that Demon has on is a gift from Shuggy. It has a name and a number in it, right? So all this is top secret information. Can't talk about it. Remember that? But he just gave the hat to Demon and the serial numbers in the fucking hat. Do you think Demon checked that fucking number?
verified Dan's service initially, because this has been a question that's come up time and time again. There are various public sources that I have access to.
Various public sources that these are public sources. Various public sources that Shuggy has access to. How does he have access to these public sources?
Through the old boy net.
Through the old boy net. This is you're being deceived. You're being deceived. The old boy network is a network behind the scenes, right? Of guys who have been around the block. They got experience, blah, blah, blah. And they can access things that the public can't access. But Shuggy just said he's getting access to public information through backroom contacts. So it's cloaking. You're supposed to get the idea here that it's cloak and dagger shit by which Shuggy got this information on Dan, all of which was wrong. So it was fucking useless. But they're painting this picture of Shuggy, or Shuggy himself is, Demon's allowing it to go on, that Shuggy's this connected guy who through backroom sources can access public information. That's like saying, hey, look, man, I can get us into this fucking club over here. I got a couple contacts, but look, none of this shit is free. You four guys, you got to give me $100 each, right? And I'll get us in. And then the four guys give you $100 each because they really want to be in the club. And then you walk up with the four guys, bound chicken, wow, and you just open the front door, walk in, you pay $10 entry fee for each person, $50, and you pocket $350 of their money, and then you claim, hey, look, man, I got the contacts. I'm the one that got us in here. And everybody else is like, motherfucker, you just pulled the door open. You didn't even fucking talk to anybody. You pulled the door open, you paid the entrance fee to the hostess, and here we are. What the fuck did you do that special? Hey, man, look, I got these backroom contacts, and blah, blah, blah. You're just being bullshitted. You're just straight up being bullshitted here. You don't need old boy network contacts to access public information. And if this information is publicly accessible, public information, then why is it virtually impossible to validate a third party? Like, none of this makes any fucking sense. All you have to do is listen to what's being said. Shuggy told you the 4 minimum data points that are necessary to validate a person's military service. You need the name of the person, which Shuggy didn't have. Dan's name is Daniel Meredith Epion Jones. It's not, Dan's name isn't Daniel M. Jones. And according to Shuggy, there's millions of Daniel M. Joneses in Wales. When you sort data, you use unique identifiers. So if there's a plethora of Daniel M. Joneses, there has to be a fallback to uniquely identify the person. That's what the serial number is for. That's why soldiers are identified numbers, are assigned identification numbers. That's why American citizens have Social Security numbers. Your Social Security number is absolutely, hands down, unequivocally, without a doubt, your unique identifier, because no one else has that same number. Phone number, unique identifier. They're not repeated. Used to be a phone number identified a household. Today's day and age, a phone number identifies the owner of the phone. It's an even more unique identifier than it used to be when it identified the members of a household, not just the owner of the single phone. So by Shuggy's own statement, you need name, rank, serial number, and branch of service. Shuggy didn't have those. Now, if Shuggy was an ex-Intel guy and Shuggy knows these are the minimum data points, why would Shuggy have validated Dan's military career without knowing Dan's serial number, which literally is the most important piece of information in the four, because it is the uniquest identifier. Name, it's a unique identifier, but it's not exclusively unique. There were many Daniel M. Joneses. Rank, it's an identifier, but it's not it's not uniquely identifying. Many people have the same rank. Branch of service, definitely an identifier, but nowhere near as unique as rank would be, right? There would be multiple sergeants in the British Army, but all those sergeants would be branch army. So the uniqueness of the identifier is less valuable than rank or name. The uniquest of the identifiers would be the serial number, and that's what Shuggy didn't have. Now, Shuggy himself said that these four data points are the minimum needed to validate someone's military service. So why would Shuggy validate Dan without the minimum criteria that Shuggy has stated is necessary? I mean, all you have to do is listen and think. All you have to do is listen to what's being told to you and think about what you were told, then apply that to the actual situation. And Shuggy was either negligently irresponsible or in on the grift. So Shuggy was either negligently irresponsible, knowing that serial number is required to validate service, and not having it and validating Dan's service anyway. So he's either negligently irresponsible or he's in on the grift. Those are your only two choices here. Negligently irresponsible or in on the grift. Smoke is being blown at you while this irresponsibility is literally trying to be covered up. Shuggy, you should have kept your fucking mouth shut. But, you know, Demon's got a lot of subs, and that what a great jump that would be from the WNN to member at Irish Demon's inner circle. So you sold Dan out to Demon after you sold your listening audience out to Dan. Because that's literally what happened. You sold them out to a Welsh waterhead, conman, thieving grifter, either through negligent irresponsibility, knowing the criteria you had to have to prove to validate service and not having it and validating the service anyway, or you're in on the grift. You're either negligently irresponsible or you're in on the grift. So, Griffey, why are you, Griffey? You should, you know what you should do, Griffey? You should sit back and relax. You can argue and you know what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a distraction so that people aren't listening. Why don't you sit back and listen, Griffey? Because after this stream is over, you can always make your points then. And it would be a more valid counter argument if you did it after you heard the entirety of the argument. What you're doing is just ass clowning around, trying to be a distraction. So now the smoke is getting blown. I have access to public information. Everyone, if it's public information, Shug, then everyone has access to it. But Shuggy has access to public information through the Old Boy Network. Cloak and Dagger mystery shit. The Old Boy Network. By the way, when people talk about the them, they that fuck them over, that's the Old Boy Network. So again, why the Cloak and Dagger, you know, reference to the mysterious Old Boy Network? None of them are identifiable, but you know, we all do the thumb on the nose when, you know, when we're requesting information that the public shouldn't really get. We thumb the nose a little bit. We do the little nose thumb. Yeah, Muggsy, I need those records. There is no Old Boys Network that you're associated with, Shuggy, that gets you access to public information. If it's public records, then the public can access them. You're being buffooned again. You're being conned again. What, Shuggy? Why? If you are who you say you are, then why are you referencing Cloak and Dagger style Old Boy Network contacts that, you know, get me privileged access to information that's available to the whole fucking world? Let's listen again.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to give up altogether.
So the expression is nigh impossible, not nigh unimpossible. That's the exact opposite of what you mean. Nigh unimpossible. It's nearly unimpossible to get this information. That means everyone can fucking get it. Nigh impossible is the phrase you're looking for. Stick to regular English and not fucking 300-year-old shit that no one speaks anymore except the theater club. Is that it, Shuggy? Are you a member of a theater club? Is this an act? And that's a legitimate question, Shug. Is this an act?
Service.
Absolutely.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proof.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
Unless they are deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need name, rank, number, and branch at the very least. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you probably have to be like in the line of next of kin somewhere for that to be appropriate for you to be able to get that and have a bloody good reason to get it.
Or have an appropriate reason, absolutely. The reason, hang on a second, the way I verified Dan's service initially, because this has been a question that's come up time and time again.
Now, if Shuggy really did this, he broke the law. He broke the law because Dan didn't give him permission to do it. And if you need someone else's permission to get information, it's not public records. The public has access to public records. If you have to get someone's permission to get the records, then it's not public. So, Shuggy, you're confessing to breaking the fucking law here. You guys do a lot of law breaking, and it does. You run raffles that are illegal. Wait till we get into that. You commented on the Welsh law that I read. But Dan said, oh, Coda doesn't know what he's talking about. And all you guys just fucking, again, like you always did, you just fucking harumphed it and kept running a fucking illegal lottery. Can't sell tickets on the internet. Can't. How are you running a lottery without tickets? There has to be a physical ticket. In a year, in 12 months of monthly running these illegal lotteries, no one ever printed a fucking ticket. These are the reasons why no one there wants to go to the fucking police. Because going and telling the police what Dan did in order to prevent him from pulling the fucking same scam in some other fucking corner of YouTube. I mean, you have a moral responsibility to report the fucking criminal that you either wittingly or unwittingly assisted to scam, thieve, lie, and rob from people. You have a moral and ethical obligation to do that. And if you don't, no one should fucking trust you ever again. Right, are these all theater boys? Blue Bacon's a fucking theater boy, pretending to be a fucking detective on Dr. Phil, painting choo-choo train fucking third grade finger paint equivalent shit on his fucking wall, while these morons are fucking glued to it like he was fucking Rembrandt. If Dopey put a gun in his mouth and offed himself on a live stream, that painting on the wall would probably be worth $5,000. That's it. But, you know, it would give it instant value. Right now, all it did was probably lower the value of the sheetrock that it was painted directly on. Oh yeah, don't forget the yard sale props that everybody has piled up behind them like they were junior hoarders. Oh my god. All right, let's rock this shit out one more time. And you know, tomorrow they'll be like all the fucking WNNers that fucking still don't get it will be like, all you did was play the same minute over and over again. Yeah, because you guys need to hear it multiple fucking times for it to sink in, because you've been indoctrinated into a mindset of don't question Dan. And then that somehow existentially got extended angst wise to the panel. And this Welsh News Network is great. Dan and friends do all our thinking for us. Rebel says he failed finger painting in kindergarten. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Couldn't get the paint on the canvas, eh, son? Got it everywhere else.
Absolutely.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proof.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Period. Unless they are deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need name, rank, number, and branch at the very least. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At the very least, that means these points, these data points are mandatory. At the very least, you have to have name, rank, number, branch. At the very least. There's no way you could have a number for Dan. There's no way you could have a rank for Dan. There's no way you could have a branch for Dan. There's no way you could have any of that information because Dan never fucking served. Okay, so let's say Dan lied about his name, but you got his name, right? It was Daniel M. Jones. So you got 1 out of 4 fucking right. He had to lie about his rank if you had the rank. I don't recall Dan ever mentioning his rank. We know he claimed to be in the Navy, but that one that you said, that vital piece, that 1 of 4, that one has to have to validate, you didn't have, Shuggy. You never had a fucking serial number, service number for Dan. You never had one. Why would you validate him without a piece of information that you've stated is mandatory to have? It's just all fucking weirdness, man. All weirdness. You were a member of an intelligence branch of service? Come on, Shug.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proof.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Period. Unless they are deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need name, rank, number, and branch at the very least. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you probably have to be like in the line of next of kin somewhere for that to be appropriate for you to be able to get that and have a bloody good reason to get it.
Or have an appropriate reason, absolutely. The reason, hang on a second, the way I verified Dan's service initially, because this has been a question that's come up time and time again. There are various public sources that I have access to.
Public sources?
The old boy net. And I proved name, DM Jones, rank, branch, and years of service. That's 4 points of information. And I was pretty certain.
It's 4 points, but you're missing one of the points, Shuggy, that you just said seconds ago was minimally necessary to validate service. You should stop fucking talking, Shuggy.
safe that was a good match. Yeah, I was wrong. Hands up to that.
He just nonchalantly, yeah, I was wrong. Hands up to that. But but without that, Dan wouldn't have gotten away with the shit he got away with. But you're just like, you just slough it off like, yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. So, anything I said, Shug, that you're demanding receipts for, I'm just going to do it. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm just going to pull you and do it. No big deal, man. Yeah, I was wrong. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness because you didn't. It's no big deal. You people literally, it's like waving your hand over the crowd and going, yeah, I was wrong. And you people literally mean nothing to me. So I'm going to walk off the imaginary balcony I'm waving to you underlings from, and I'm going to go take a nap because this isn't troubling me at all. Yeah, I was wrong. Hands up. Oh, you got me. Hands up. That's the, oh, you got me. And then you do your little chuckle thing and you go inside and lay down on the couch and go, whew, wow, that speech was a difficult one.
I've been called out on that since it happened, and I'm absolutely hands up. But I had 4 points of information, which I corroborated. I was convinced I was right. So on that,
how can you corroborate non-existent information, Shug? He didn't fucking serve. You couldn't have corroborated it because he did not serve. You're still bullshitting about it. You shouldn't be talking about any of this shit, Shug. You should have come out and said, I was 100% fucking wrong. Man, do I feel fucking stupid. I'm very sorry. This is how much money I have in my bank account. Does anybody want to get their money back? That's what you should have fucking done. What? He ripped off your listeners for 20 grand. There's 5 of you on the panel. That's $4,000 each. Or the 5 of you couldn't fucking kick up 4 grand and at least return 4 grand each. Let's say you only did 2 grand each and you doled out half of what fucking people got ripped off for. You guys didn't make an effort to fucking return a penny, and I don't give a shit if they said they didn't want the money back. You didn't make a fucking offer or a fucking effort. And unless you did it publicly, there's no way you could have reached out to all the people that you publicly, intentionally or unintentionally deceived, because you stated the 4 criteria that are minimally needed to validate, and you didn't have all 4 of them, and you validated anyway. And look at you with the egg all over your face.
That one,
and it's understandable how that could happen. Like, I mean, genuinely it is.
See, this is why I think it's a fluff thing, because Demon's here. Well, it's understandable. It's absolutely not understandable. You're not listening, Demon. You're not listening to what's being said to you. Shuggy directly are you not paying attention? Shuggy told you the 4 pieces of information that are minimally necessary to validate. He didn't have them. You didn't catch it, Demon, which I believe is the case, or you caught it and you're blowing it off. You're blowing, blow a little smoke on the fucking number part. There, it's all mistied up. Nobody will even see the number thing.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna bring this chat up in just a second, but real quick, Demon's sister has gifted a whopping 20.
Oh, god damn it. That's what had you distracted. The glittery money thing. Oh, it always gets you, man. It always gets you. Because you've been staring down at that, waiting for the break to get in there to fucking announce that, oh, I got money. Here's the people that got memberships. I got money. Money. Shug, what do you... Shug, when did you get here? What? You've been talking for 14 minutes? Get the fuck out, Shug. How'd you get in the room? Hang on, man. I'm doing my Has Money dance. Money, 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 money. I'm gonna buy a new reflector light for my Harley. Did the membership donation fucking just distract you? A shiny thing, shiny thing. Is that, do I hear pocket change jangling? There's money here? Good fucking God.
New memberships. I'm going to read out who got those. So we're at 25 new members already in 15 minutes. Let's see if we can get to 35 new members by the end of this show. Here are the ones that were gifted. Verbal Boss got one. Alan Killian got one. Rajara, Crippled Cat,
the best part of this is the Snooze Network got a fucking membership.
Ross Rachel Brady, Matt G, John, Michael John Dennis, Gaming with Both Hands. Shit, did I lose it now? Oh no, I didn't. Here we go. Gaming with Both Hands got one. God damn it. Oh yeah, Big Daddy Lemon Tart, Bobby Williams, Cass Graphics, the Kilroy. Let me see. Barbie got one. Really Cool Rose got one. Mel Rodden got one. Lisa got one. Sirloin got one. Donald Morrison got one. I think that's everybody.
Uh-oh. There's an elephant in the room. Marcel's arson parole agent for $4.99 says, why would Shuggy be part of the verification process? He's part of the problem. Lack of credibility. Yeah, exactly. Why would you validate Dan? You're on the fucking panel with him. You have a vested interest in Dan being validated. Another faux pas that a intelligence network guy would probably be aware of. Where'd you get your intelligence from? It was validated by the enemy, sir. The enemy told me directly that guy's an enemy. You're going to get your own fucking people killed if you do shit like that. Panel member Shuggy validated panel leader Dan. Nothing like having an underling harumph you. Holy fuck. Logan Sandman says, I called Shuggy out on a Discord voice. I got called a coded simp. I said, I don't need coded to give me an opinion. And my opinion is you're full of shit. How long did you last on that fucking VC, Logan? I get the feeling you got bounced pretty fast after that. Griffey says, coded friend.001, I'm sitting and relaxing. You were talking about pulling your pud a second ago. Well, a little more than a second, but I hope you have tissue. Or Dearmid under the table, whichever works better for you. Dearmid actually admitted in the Skeptic Discord today that he and the other party mentioned in the spit, tug fiasco were together in Canada. And the other party was at Dearmid's place in Canada. Tug. Every time I think of Dearmid now, this goes off in my head. Tug. Laura Rader says Shuggy was never going to risk pissing Dan off by questioning him and possibly getting thrown off the WNN panel where he was getting all that, quote, attention. Yeah, I mean, this... Carte Blanche says, remember when Shuggy showed his fake UK VA card? Shuggy's pulling the same fucking stunts that Dan did. Fake fucking card. Becca says she saw a VA card. I'm just repeating what you've said, Becca. I'm not fucking busting your balls. The meme maker cart, that's who. His meme maker partner. Remember the whole thing we went through the other night? Becca said she saw Dan's VA card. Dan had his thumb over the picture. Hank said the same thing. I mean, if someone's showing you a picture ID and they're concealing the picture, that doesn't throw a fucking red flag up. Hey, man, I need to see. That's a picture ID. I kind of need to see the picture on the ID. Yeah, I don't know. Either Dan really did a great job selecting unattentive, ignorant people, incapable of critical thought, or they were in on the grift. It can't be both. There's no other option here. It's not a oopsie I made. It's oopsie I made these 100 fucking mistakes that enabled Dan to get away with grifting for 12 fucking months. It just can't be both. It really can't. Or if anyone out there thinks it can, please explain it to me. I'd really like to understand the fucking logic under which your mind operates. Carte Blanche says that Laura Rader, Shuggy didn't like getting yelled at. No one really likes it, but Shuggy seems to be extra sensitive to it. Laura Rader says, yup, Blanche, hashtag be nice to me is Shuggy's motto. We have hashtag be nice to me, hashtag you hurt. My favorite is you hurt me. You hurt me. That's the other thing, too. Mark the Sarcastic Lawyer gets a fucking free pass, no scrutiny whatsoever, while Miss Mandy just gets the shit kicked out of her everywhere this mob of fucking bullies run into her, and they do go hunting for her. Oh, Miss Mandy's over at such and such, and then they all rush over and fucking bully her. But Mark the Sarcastic Law student who says openly, I will no longer hurt people on your behalf. He gets a pass on the hurting he did intentionally to people. Kind of crazy. Laura Rader says, yum, I could handle double-coated Tim Tams right now. Don't take them from Griffey. Did you just not read about what he was just doing? Wash your hands, Griffey. Writes on, says that Laura Rader, I think you hit the nail on the head. Shuggy liked the attention and wanted to feel like he's part of something. I think that's, I honestly, I mean, I can't see where all of these guys didn't get a little taste of the money and some monetary benefit, but I don't think money is the currency that Shuggy was after. Shuggy wanted clout. Shuggy wanted to be recognized as a PSYOPs veteran, like Josh got recognized for. Shuggy wanted that badly, and Shuggy went and compromised his own credibility by validating Dan. And I'm not just picking this out of the fucking air, Shug. You said these 4 data points are minimal mandatory for validation. And then you didn't have the 4 data points, but you validated your boy anyway. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You're a great lesson for younger YouTubers that come along after this fiasco on, don't put your ass on the line for people you don't really fucking know that well. I mean, Dan's the recognition and clout Dan built in the 3 3 months before he really went hog wild in the fucking everyday grifto scam. And Shug, looking back, you got to admit the Chile legal suit against Chile was just a fucking bullshit. Can you imagine if he pulled that off, Shug, and wound up with $20,000? Because he helped Bacon out with Bacon's legal fee shit. But Dan was never going to file a fucking lawsuit against Chile. Oh, I'm not going to file it yet because I'm waiting for this certain date here because I'm going to be in the States and I'm going to serve Chile personally. Jesus Christ, Shug. Kelly W says, yeah, Dan started slow, but after he got a taste of the money, he went full hog. Yeah, he went full hog. He did go full hog. He's a little fucking dollar pig. He's just a dollar pig, that Danny. He'll shit in his own pants to get out of trouble. Dan, literally, as is covered in this live stream, will shit in his own pants to avoid responsibility. That's fucking weird. And, birds of a feather flock together, and here we have a fecal freak. Dan was fecally freaky. He would shit his own drawers to avoid responsibility. Logan Sandman says, fuck, now I want Tim Tams. Don't take them from Griffey. They're not that great, dude. I mean, they're okay, but they're nothing fucking special. Laura Rader says, the Blue Bacon and Shuggy Theater presents... The Blue Bacon and Shuggy Theater presents Anthony Caruso and does a bear shit on his chest. We should change does a bear shit in the woods to does a blue bear shit on Caruso's chest. They're fecal freaks. They're fecal freaking. Meow. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Plop, 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 plop. Plop, 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 plop. Victor B says, hashtag fuck you coded, hashtag be nice to me, hashtag shiz choose me. Don't forget my favorite, hashtag you hurt me. Writes on says, geez, 30 days ain't what it used to be. I'm stating facts here. I'm not really being derogatory. I mean, it's colored with a little bit of humor. This is a satire and parody channel. I'm not really going after anyone the way I had been a couple of days ago. I mean, this is the reality of it. Shuggy clearly stated here in this, it's a 1 minute fucking window. Shuggy clearly stated the minimum criteria needed to validate someone's military service. He then explained away why he didn't have the 4 necessary points. He was missing the service number. And then there was some smoke and mirror, cloak and dagger cover-up shit about accessing public records through an old boys network. Why should I check my internet? Let me go through some of these side chatties. Laura Rader says, what's with all the theater boys exaggerating their military service? Josh should, in retaliation, the F3 boys should just claim they got a role in the next fucking Marvel movie and fucking taunt Blue Bacon and fucking Shuggy with that information until, the movie comes out and they're not in it. And then they can say, well, my hands are up. You got me on that one. Let's just go take a nap now. Carte Blanche says, nope, Shuggy, you are incorrect. I Googled how to obtain a UK military record on behalf of someone else. It takes longer. Right. Well, you, Carte Blanche, wouldn't have access to the old boys network that got Shuggy, I don't know what, from a public records. It's public records. You don't need anyone else. Writes on, says, Blue Fakin is another one. Fluffy soy boy who likes to dish it out but can't take criticism. Tuba and theater. Tonight in today's Tuba Dinner Theater, sponsored by BLEW Bacon and Shuggy, a production of Does a Bear Shit on Caruso's Chest, starring BLEW Bear and Tony Caruso. Laura Rader says, writes on, another theater boy addicted to attention even went undercover, quotes, undercover on Dr. Phil. Logan Sandman says, don't forget the choo-choo tunnel on the wall. I already read that one. Kelly W. says, yes. Kelly W. says, and legal. Writes on, says, Dr. Phil, James's motherfucking Fuelner. Oh, James motherfucking Fuelner. Is that his real name? Carte Blanche says, thou art a very ragged wart. Thou art a crusty bunch of nature, oh Shuggy. My Shuggy, wherefore art thou my Shuggy? That's not derogatory. Laura Rader said, and bought props from yard sales. I think I already read this in the real-time chat. Let me skip down a little here. Writes on, says, Kermit the Frog here. What a soft-ass pussy. He does have his hand up a frog's ass. Kelly W. says, hey at Carte Blanche and Laura Rader. Logan Sandman says, it's really bad when the ROTC fags march better than the band fags. My apology to legitimate fags. Logan Sandman being of the same generation as myself, we mean that in a completely non-sexual way. It's more of a gender reference than any kind of sexuality. I don't know if in the virtue signaling millennial world that makes the severity of the statement any different, but I'm pretty sure I'm certain I don't care, and I'm pretty sure Logan doesn't care. Laura Rader says, damn, I didn't think it was possible to fail in kindergarten, Rebel. Ooh, you can fail. I got a friend who was held back because he couldn't behave himself during nap time. Writes on, says at Kelly W. DAC, long time, bro. A long time no see. K-Dub was in here last night, weren't you? Carte Blanche says, oh, you didn't at Rebel. The paints failed you. Oh, what a great way to put it, Blanche. What a great way to put it. Kelly W. DAC says, yep, can't question Dan. How dare you question Dan? Kelly W. says, I question everyone. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Rebel says, I was into body painting the girls. Of course, that's why you fucking failed. It was a disciplinary failure. I hear your artwork, though, was, cutting edge. Early 21st century interpretation of Cubism. It's up there for kindergarten, bro. Kelly W. is happy to see Writes On. Writes On says, Blue Fakin is the literal example of churched up, in quotes, military career. Laura Rader says, at least you didn't use a marker on their dresses, Rebel. Call back to yesterday and my son's disciplinary issue. I don't know if I talked about it yesterday, but there were other boys involved. My son was My son wasn't the initiator of it. That doesn't mean he's any less wrong in the act he did. But there were other boys involved, and my son kind of followed their lead. And this girl had been hitting the boys in the head when the teacher wasn't looking. So one of them did the marker thing, and then the rest of the boys were like, yeah, that's great. It really upset her, and we're not allowed to hit girls, so we'll do the marker thing too. And then my son, she snitched on my son and no one else. My son took his pinch. He didn't rat out any of his friends. And then he had to stay in on recess. And one of the other boys that did it, was asking where my son was at recess time. And the teacher told him he had to stay inside because he marked the girl's dress with the marker the day before. And the boy said, oh, I'll go sit with him. And the teacher said, no, he's getting punished. You can't be with him. And the boy looked at the teacher and said, I did it too. Well, like the boy wanted to get, he, I guess, realized what he did was wrong. He volunteered to go for punishment. And then the whole story kind of unraveled. My son's a good fucking kid, man. Logan Sandman says finger paint tastes like chalk pudding. Don't ask me how I know. Paste tastes like sweet, thick pudding. Don't ask me how I know. Carte Blanche says, or get blocked and can't respond and have Dildan, Shuggy, Blacko, or Jimbo go on about you for 5 minutes or so at Kelly W. Yeah, they all love that shit. Shuggy didn't really participate in the blasting blocked people. He just made, pretentious snide comments. He's not a man of many words, Shuggy. He really is very stingy with his words. That's how I knew, I really fucked up his psyche with the shit I was saying that I thought was fucking hilarious. I mean, I was laughing. I was definitely trying to bruise his ego. But, I wasn't trying to, cut him with my words, but my words did cut him. And man, when I said, okay, go ahead, you talk first, it was F this, F that, man. There were so many F-bombs getting dropped. I was worried he was going to off his own crowd. Alan Killian says, are all the trolls lurking, not believing we can play nice? Come on down, trolls. You're the next contestant on Coded. I don't know what game show we would be. We should do like a Hollywood Square. We should do a Hollywood Squares and put fucking Scotto in center square, right? Charles Nelson Riley, Paul Lind, Scotto. Makes perfect fucking sense. God damn, we got to do a YouTube Squares. And center square tonight is Scotto. That would be fucking great. We'll have Jeffo MC it. Scotto center square, and then we'll populate the seats around center square with YouTube hosts, creators. That would be a good fucking time, man. We could do Chili questions. We could do Glenn Serio questions. We could do, all the fucking 1A weirdos. We could do Dan questions. You'd have Chili, Serio, Dan. I mean, there's a lot of fucking shit we could do with that. Kelly W says, I don't know who did it, but I was blocked at WNN at least a year ago because I was asking questions. Any of the panel members probably did it to you. Laura Rader says, yeah, that was typical, Kelly. Writes on, says, at Kelly W DAC. And by the way, for people who are listening in or first time around, DAC is Donald Atwater Cameron, who, basically everyone is convinced that Frudder the Wrangler execution style murdered over the theft of a PlayStation and possibly some pain pills and maybe a gun or two. That Wrangler's a real fucking douche. Carte Blanche says they're afraid to kneel before the big bosses. If they do, at Alan Killian. The trolls are afraid of the big bosses? Kelly WDAC says, I really hope justice comes soon for Donald and his family. I don't understand how they haven't brought him to trial on the other felonies. So frustrating. Money can buy you time. It can't buy innocence. And if you slip through the fingers of the court system, don't you worry. God will cut that man down. God will cut that man down. Have some faith. Have some faith. God will cut that. You do. Wrangler should be focused on getting right with God because he needs grace and mercy more than anyone I know. Logan Sandman says that Carte Blanche, Becca doesn't want me to talk to her anymore. Apparently buzz is a trigger for her. If you could ease up a little bit, for a little bit of time here. Just because the whole point, Logan, is and again, do whatever you want. I mean, the decision how to behave is up to you. You're a fucking big boy, and you either potentially killed people for a living or a portion of your career, or actually did. I don't know which. But still, sometimes I think he's a happy-go-lucky guy, but he's a little bit scary. He's got a dog that bites hard. Yeah. Let's give some space for people to settle down so the real shitbag muckrakers can be identified. Laura Rader says Dan blocked me after his first two live streams for disagreeing with him and asking questions. Really? After the second live stream? Strangey strange. GMK says they couldn't just ask Dan for validation. Carte Blanche says Blecka doesn't know what she is missing at Logan Sandman. You are great at conversation and the laughter. I hear he's hung like a fucking bear, too, to be honest. I haven't seen it. I can't confirm it, but, people don't usually say that when it's not true. Laura Rader says, asking Dan for anything would get them yelled at GMK. Hashtag, be nice to me. Hashtag, you hurt me. Carte Blanche says, at GMK, I asked Dildan questions and got called a lying cunt and then was blocked. Well, Cart, you do have the kind of personality, where you just don't stop. So, the blocking is mildly understandable, but you are anything. You are far from a lying cunt. It's the fact that you tell the truth that makes your statements hurt so badly. Whoever called you a lying cunt is a fucking lying douchebag. Like that's so petty. Rebel says, was there a hands up song? When? When fucking Shuggy did my hands were up on that one, and then a background chorus breaks out at Tuba Dinner Theater. Just wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. That's why Shuggy's behind a anonymous Shuggy behind an icon all the time, validating the military career of a man who was never in the military, done either out of pure negligence or intentionally done to help a grift go along. It's one or the other. It can't be both. You gave the criteria that are necessary in order to validate, and then what you left out, Shuggy, was the uniquest of the 4 unique identifiers. It's kind of a big miss. And Shuggy goes down swinging. Writes on, says, that Logan Sandman, I did a video showing how Dan treated Becca. It was disgusting, but she called me vile and put her middle finger up at me. Laughing. Her fuck you finger is so long. Is it? I didn't notice. Now I got to go back and watch that video again. And again, I know there's bitterness there, but 30 days from now, you can be just as bitter. And again, the reason to calm it all down is to not let anyone, not get their earned ribbing, but let's let the real shitbags show themselves first. And let's really fucking dump it on those assholes. Laura Rader says Shuggy believes he did everything possible in his limited intellectual capacity to validate Dan, so no one is allowed to say he could have done better. But yet he gave the 4 necessary minimum criteria to validate, and the one he left out, the service number, was the uniquest of the unique identifiers, and according to Shuggy, a mandatory piece in the validation puzzle. Dope, 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 dope. Mama said I gotta come home with a rabbit. Dope, dope. Logan Sandman says that writes on. It has to be. She has to reach over the gunt. Oh my God, you guys won't stop. Carte Blanche says at codedfriend.001. Remember though, Shuggy says he spent most of his time on panel slushed. Yeah, I brought that up in the voice call, and Shiz kind of covered for him and blew it off. That was a joke. Still, even in that voice call where everybody promised to get muted, there was one time where Shiz just jumped in to defend Shuggy. I should go back and listen to what that question was, because it may have identified a vital piece of information. GMK says at Laura, well, if he did yell, that would be the proof for regular folk that Dan is a scam. Shuggy, you should have heard Shuggy fucking yelling at me. Oh my God. Every other word out of his mouth was fuck while he was telling me what a vile person I was. It seems ironic, doesn't it? Carte Blanche says, GMK, one would think so. They turned on Coded for exposing Dildan and the WNN panel for scamming their subs. You're talking about the regular folk there. Yep, they did. Laura Rader says, GMK, you really need to stop being logical and be much more needy and desperate for self-esteem validation for social media before you can truly understand where Shuggy is coming from. It's a good point. If you want that kind of understanding, you got to walk a mile in the man's moccasins. I'm not really willing to do that. Carte Blanche says Shuggy would do anything for Dildan at codedfriend.001. He couldn't stand the yelling from Dildan. His attitude, Shuggy's attitude did, and again, I'm not being demeaning or derogatory, Shuggy. This is observation. Shuggy spoke a lot less and a lot less contradictory or critically, because Shuggy, in the beginning, Shuggy did that. Shuggy played devil's advocate a couple of times. He really stopped doing that after Dan did the no, fuck that, Shuggy. Fuck that. Allegedly. They got him dead bang to rights. Whatever the fuck that was supposed to mean. It wasn't until a year later that Shuggy was that Chili was arrested for a minor offense, and then his conviction was overturned. Rebel says, Blanche, GMK is being logical. Make him stop. Show him your tits. That'll fuck his mind up. I thought GMK was a female. Is GMK female or male? I need an answer tonight. I got to get this right. Like, I don't fucking know. I think I asked before, and the feedback I got was female. I don't know, though. I'm all confused. I'm gender confused, not about myself, but about others. Laura Rader says, Demon just wants to avoid conflict to keep the conversation going. Content is king. Maybe, but I think it's a little deeper than that. That's definitely a motivation. Carte Blanche says, at Rebel at GMK, don't listen to me. He prefers Laura. Who? Was that GMK? At Rebel at GMK, don't listen to me. He prefers Laura. You named two guys and then used a singular pronoun. God damn it, this pronoun shit is getting very confusing. Logan Sandman says GMK is a lawyer asking him, there's the answer to my question, to abandon logic is like asking Kaiser not to lie. Who the fuck is Alex? Says Coded Blitz, the first lawsuit grift they tried. I did, man. I was fucking Troy Polamalu. Fucking Dan said snap, and I was over the fucking top of that line, bang, before anybody knew what the fuck was going on. You're right, I did. I was a one-man fucking backfield blitz on that one, and I fucking hurdled the fucking line and took fucking Beanpole Dan down like the fucking tard boy he is. Dan was like fucking George Plimpton, the paper lion, in that fucking takedown. Laura Rader says content is king. Did you spell it wrong? Content. Content. Were you just repeating yourself and all capped out too? What are you trying to attack that cap guy troll sock account from last night? I think he passed out eventually from having his cum sock over his head. Hard to breathe when it's all gummed up sticky like that. Smelling like fucking fresh mozzarella that's been left, on the counter for a fucking week. God damn it, Laura. All capped out. Content brings clicks and views and monetization revenue. Correct. Now they're going to say I'm angry because I had to read your all capped out shit, Laura. GMK says, yes, ma'am. Did I get my GMK answer yet? Alan Killian says, one warm and fuzzy thought. Being offline, Dildan is stuck with all his cheap-ass whiskey unless he's selling it door to door. I think it's all at Shuggy's place. I don't know for sure, but that's where I would get. If I went looking for it, I'd go looking for it at Shuggy's. Just be careful. He's got new shotguns, and he doesn't really like people even talking about ringing the doorbell. Carte Blanche says, at Alan Killian, he sent it to Shuggy as peace offering. You read my fucking mind. Although how rot gut swill is going to bring peace to anyone's life is beyond me. Dan bought the cheapest shit he could get his fucking hands on. It wasn't even aged long enough to actually be whiskey. Kelly W. says, and where the fuck is Mark, the 7 IQ law student? I'm just reading that. That's not me saying that. That is mildly derogatory. I'm just reading it. It's a good question, though, where he is. I don't know if the extra descriptors were absolutely necessary in this 30 days of derogatory abstinence. But you're free to do what you want. It's only me that's obligated. I'm encouraging, but I am not demanding. Logan Sandman says, I've collected pocket change since I was 5. I swear I got a stiffy when I found a 1903 Indian head penny in my change from 7-Eleven. Like today, dude, I would get chubbed on that. I've been getting wheatback pennies lately. I love a wheatback, especially a 1943 steel wheatback. Kelly W says, Kaz Graphics. That's a Kaiser simp. Were they in the room? I don't recall seeing them. Laura Rader says that codedfriend.001 is being way too logical as well, as though Demon was attempting to do anything but keep the stream going and keep Shuggy making content. This logic is killing my buzz. Well, puff, puff, pass. Puff, puff, pass. Everyone else has a joint too. So if we all cooperate and puff, 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 pass, there's a virtually endless supply, at least during this live stream. Alan Killian says, I got my free membership. Don't hold it against me. Oh, no. We all know that no one can control where free memberships go and who the receivers are. It's kind of like a potluck style smorgy board. Logan Sandman says, you need better weed at Laura Raider. Carte Blanche says, I can remember Dildan's brother was in the side chat asking to go up on panel and was totally ignored for tea and cake talk. That's what the rest of this broadcast is. Tea and cake talk, a hello to Dan's brother indicating he would like to come up and talk, and then he was ignored after that for tea and cake talk. Shuggy really got into the fucking cake talk, too. Do you know the dunking coefficient of a tea biscuit? No one fucking cares. No one cares. It would have been nice if you had, paid attention to your own statement that the service number was a mandatory piece of information that one needed before validating someone's career. And apparently maybe your pocket had a hole in it, and when you put it in there, it fell out through the hole down your leg and blew down the street somewhere. Kelly WDAC says, I never heard if Mark ever said anything about this, and only Phil and Finch. Why would Mark was kind of periphery? GMK says, what would happen to Spock on powerful weed? Fuck, that's a good question. I nominate the best actor we know, and he's been to film school, so he could fucking shoot it. Imagine if Josh put little pointy ears on, because he's got the thick black hair for it. He could definitely do a Spock haircut. Imagine if Josh put fucking Spock ears on and then just got high as fuck and did a fucking live stream in the persona of Spock. That would be fucking great. That would really be funny as shit. Laura Rader says, Logan, Alan got me all paranoid, suggesting you were going to EMP me and take out my weed vape or something. LOL. Fucking, why would you do that? Alan, why would you do that? Don't do things like that to Laura. Kelly W says, Mark used to kiss Dan's ass to no end. He was Dan's biggest defender. I don't know if Mark actually wanted to do that, or, he was just doing what the boss told him to do. Not the big boss Dan, but the fire starter boss. She has the power to start fires. I can't disobey her. Carte Blanche says at Kelly W. DAC, Mark was asking to speak to Dildan about the money raised for Veen. Veen never received the money. All right, I'm going to pause here, have a smoke. We're going to do a little musical interlude, the intermezzo portion of the program. We'll talk a little bit about the Veen situation when I get back. Stoned Vulcan Josh, says Logan Sandman. Hold on, let me star this bad boy. Gotta get that wire out of the way too. It's conflicting with my mouse. Scrolly. Oh, hey, Mirrors. Good to see you. Scrolly. Holy scroll. Wow, I'm way behind in the fucking chat. Oh, my God. Laura Rader says, coded wrecking bald Dan's legal grift for suing Chili pretty damn well. He was great. He was starting a legal grift, and I did fucking. I popped that fucking balloon for sure. Though I like the idea that I wrecking balled it, but that would assume that Dan was made from something heavier than fucking tissue paper. Mears wants to let you know there, GMK, that Taipan has a double bed. Ew, that's fucking creepy. That's creepy. You would have bed bug bites for sure. Where was that? Laura Rader says, shit, it's really late. I'm going to lay down and we'll probably fall asleep and listen night, folks. Sorry if we fucked you up at work tomorrow, Laura. Have a good night. Thanks for being around. Laura said, weed just makes everything more interesting and fascinating for us logical thinkers. It helps break out of the, like if you're really locked into that logical shit where you mull ideas over and over again, the weed really helps break you out of that circle. Where was the fucking Spock comment? Damn it. There it is. It's a 229, Logan Sandman. 229. Vulcan Josh. Where? Did you delete that comment? What the fuck? Dead air. Carte blanche. I say cool, double cool all the time. Are you picking that up from me? There it is. Logan Sandman says stoned Vulcan Josh. Intermission. Be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, The Doors.
Hi, how you doing, man? Yeah. Looking good. Everything is fucked up as usual, you know.
Ashen lady, ashen lady, give up your vows, give up your vows, save our city, save our city right now. Yeah, I woke up this morning, I got myself a beer. When I woke up this morning, I got myself a beer. Future sunset and the end is always near. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll all night long. Thank you. Dead cats, dead rats, did you see what they were at? All right. Dead cat in a top hat. Woo! Sucking on a young man's blood, wishing he could come, yeah. Sucking on the soldier's brain, wishing it would be the same. Dead cat, dead rat, did you see what they were at? Fat cat in a top hat thinks he's an aristocrat, thinks he can kill and slaughter, thinks he can shoot my daughter. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. Dead cats, dead rats, think you're an aristocrat. Crap. That's crap. You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Tried to run, tried to hide, bring on me to the other side. Bring on me to the other side. Bring on me to the other side. Chased off Leo here, dug out trail there. Still recall time of crime. Bring on me to the other side. Bring on me to the other side. Bring on me, yeah. All right.
arbitrary in your eyes. Arbitrary eyes that lie. Bring on you to the other side. Bring on you to the other side. Bring on you, yeah. All right.
All right, so the Veen situation. We'll talk a little bit about the Veen situation, and then we'll wrap this up for the evening. I too feel like resting my head on my pillow. Veen was an individual who had stage 4 rectal cancer. I don't wish that on anyone. The WNN listeners raised a little over $2,000 to help Veen relocate to a different city, I guess, where he would be closer to the treatment he needed to get. Hopefully Veen is getting that treatment, and hopefully Veen is doing well. Veen's just a peripheral player that got caught up in the nonsense here. So the WNN peeps fundraiser for Veen, $2,200 was raised for Veen, and Veen never got the money. So Kelly W., if you talk to Becca at all, I guess she speaks with Veen. She could probably give you an update on his situation, or help you to reach out to him if you wanted to talk to him. Mark, the sarcastic law student, is supposedly has been, for weeks negotiating with Dan so that Veen could get the money, and Dan's typical Dan, excuse after excuse. So Mark, in the voice chat, Mark, the sarcastic law student, issued a challenge to me that if I could prove, this is why I think they're trying to clear Dan and bring him back, some of these people. If I could prove that Dan stole any money, that Mark himself would go to the police about Dan. Well, Mark, you're negotiating for Dan to give the charity money, the collection, to Veen, that Veen never got. He still hasn't got it. That means Dan stole the fucking money there, Mark. I don't know why you need me to prove it to you, but there's the fucking proof. So why don't you get your ass up to the fucking police station and honor your word? Your challenge has been met. Monies were given for Veen to assist him with his cancer treatment. Dan, the fucking prick, robbed the fucking guy, took the fucking money, and you're sitting there with your thumb up your ass telling people, prove to me that Dan stole even 1 penny and I'll go right to the police. So there you go. There you go. Has Dan given Veen the money Dan collected months ago for Veen? No, he hasn't. What do you keep getting? Excuses. Get off your ass and go to the fucking police now. Honor your word. There's another receipt for you. If you don't do it, that'll be the receipt that you're just a fucking talker that doesn't do shit. And that will wrap up the Veen portion of today's broadcast. Fink Muck, which one of you guys? It's all four of you. Veen, Mark is on YouTube, goes under the moniker of Mark the Sarcastic Law Student. Dan is a Welshman who for a year and a half here on YouTube ran a raffle on a monthly basis to raffled off, $100 electronic equipment to gain donations, which were supposed to be given to a charity. Each month had a different named charity. Not one fucking charity has gotten the fucking money. Dan pocketed it. And in the year that he was on YouTube for a year and a half, he was doing the monthly raffles for roughly a year. And there's no proof that any of the money collected ever went to any of the charities. No receipts were ever provided. Right from the rip, I was cautioning his listeners, his audience, that if he's not showing you receipts that the money went to the named charity each month, that you're getting robbed. The money isn't going to the charities. So no receipts were ever provided. No proofs were ever given that the money was donated. Excuses were always made why the receipts weren't shown. The panel members Dan was the lead grifter and on a YouTube channel called the Welsh News Network. The panel members at the Welsh News Network knew in May of 2023 that Dan, this Welsh guy, Dan, as a low-level politician, had been convicted of fraud and theft against a charitable organization, a food bank. And they sat on that information for over a year, or roughly right at the 1 year mark. Never alerted their audience to the fact that they were donating proceeds to a individual who had in his past been convicted of thieving from charities. Come on over, Shuggy. I'll give you an invite. You can come up and talk. I mean, Shug, you literally gave on the demon. Let's look at it one more time because we know Shuggy's listening. And this is in case Finkel wants to take a look at it, or whoever the representative from that. I believe there's 4 individuals on that panel regularly. Finkel, Muckster, the other 2 gentlemen I don't know. This is May 27, 2024, Irish Demon. Title of the broadcast, it's in the live section. Title of the broadcast is Update on Welsh News Network. This is Shuggy explaining how he managed to fumble and drop the ball horribly on validating the non-existent military career of Stolen Valor, aka Walter Mitty, Welsh Daniel Meredith Epion Jones, who claimed to be a officer in the British Navy, but never was. But his military career somehow was validated by Shuggy, who in this broadcast at Irish Demon gave criteria, which we'll hear in just a second, minimal criteria to validate an individual's military service in the UK, which included name, rank, branch of service, and service number. The most unique identifier in those four is the service number. Shuggy did not have the service number, but validated Dan's career anyways, and wound up either negligently validating the career of a stolen valor individual or intentionally. It's either one. Those are the only two options it could be. It's not a mistakey stake, Shug, when you put on display your knowledge of the minimal criteria and neglect to have the minimal criteria, but go on anyway to validate the service of Dan, which he never served. Name, rank, number, and branch at the very least. You didn't have the number, Shug, but you validated them anyway. And then there's this cloak and dagger, smoke blowing talk about Shuggy's association with the Old Boys Network, who got him access to public records. They're public fucking records. You don't need an Old Boys Network if they're public records. Oopsie doopsie. Yeah, I was wrong. Here's Shuggy's workaround over on Discord. Shuggy, you clearly said those were minimal to validate a third party. Now you're talking about POS and MOD. You didn't mention any of that on Demon's stream. Shifting the goalpost, Shug. That's what you call shifting the goalposts. I'm not wrong, Shug, when you said the minimum criteria is name, rank, number, branch. You didn't have the number, Shug, and you validated an individual as being a veteran who never served. If you had had the number, you wouldn't have made the mistake. Listen to what you said again. You said the minimum information. Let's go through it one more time and see how it stacks up to what the Shugman Shugster says. Jesus. Hopefully you're sober right now, Shug. Shug, if you're not sober, just wait till tomorrow. Don't fucking talk. All right, let's listen to Shuggy one more time. What other proof could you have? Dan didn't serve. What other proof could you have? You validated his service. He never served. Other proof? What is it? What is it? Would you see him in a uniform? That's what you're running around showing people to validate your service. Why won't you just show your HM veteran card? Sorry about that. Why won't you just show your HM veteran card, Shuggy? It's nigh impossible without these data points. Your words, Shug. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I did it again. Damn it. Hang on. Thank you, carte blanche. There we go. Here we go. Let me get this back to the. This is the 13-minute mark update on Welsh News Network. Let's listen to what you actually said, Shug, and compare it to what you're saying now, your weaselly workaround.
It is very easy for the veteran themselves to prove their service.
Absolutely.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proofs.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
Nearly impossible for a third party to validate a veteran's status, but you went ahead and fucking did it anyway, Shug, right?
Deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need
no mention of MOD, POS, the shit that you're posting over in the Discord, Shug. No mention of that. You said it's nigh impossible. You said nigh unimpossible. You know, that would mean it was highly possible. So I think you did a little misspeak there. You said nigh impossible, nearly impossible. That's old English speak. Knife means nearly. Nearly impossible. But you did it anyway, Shug.
Absolutely.
There are methods in place. Personally, my ID card still hasn't got here, but that's another conversation altogether. But I have other proofs.
Oh yeah, I've seen it in person as well. So.
It is nigh on impossible for a third party to verify a veteran's status.
Absolutely.
Period. Unless they are deceased. And even if they are deceased, you're going to need name, rank, number, and branch at the very least. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
You need name, rank, number, and branch. And Irish Demons right here. Oh, absolutely. Validating everything you say. Now in Discord, you're saying MOS, PO, POS. You weren't going for those things. You're not talking about any of that here. You're not talking about any of that here. So, what? I mean, come on, Shug. Why can't you just speak the fucking truth plainly?
Absolutely. And you probably have to be like in the line of next of kin somewhere for that to be appropriate for you to be able to get that and have a bloody good reason to get it.
Or have an appropriate reason, absolutely. The reason, hang on a second, the way I verified Dan's service initially, because this has been a question that's come up time and time again. There are various public sources that I have access to through the Old Boy Net. And
Shuggy, why do you need the Old Boy Network to access public records? Here's Shuggy's workaround explanation in Discord at codedfriend.001. Hold on, let me share this, or he'll say, he'll edit it later. At codedfriend.001, reference your stream tonight and your proof. Please see below. 1. Name, rank, number, branch, valid reason required for official POS from MOD. Okay, you're not talking about POS or MOD. You're talking about smoke-blown cloak and dagger Old Boy Network shit to access public records. You don't need that. They're public records. You said they were public records that you accessed through the Old Boy Network. You do this shit on purpose, Shug. You do this double speak wanker wank on purpose. I was not looking for the official MOD records. Well, what were you fucking looking for then, Shug? And if you weren't looking for the official records, then why did you validate him? What were you looking for? Crayon on paper? I was not looking for the official MOD. MOD is Ministry of Defense. I was not looking for the official MOD records. I asked some old friends where some public records are. You didn't say old friends, you said the Old Boy Network. And the Old Boy Network always indicates a little bit of graft and corruption there, Shuggy. I asked some old friends where some. See, now you're wording it different. Now you're wording your words differently. I asked some old friends where some public records are now being held and was told which library to go to in order to access the microfiche. But Shuggy, this whole time, you and Dan had been back and forth validating each other with, we're sworn to secrecy. We can't talk about any of this. But you can go to a fucking public library and look it up. How fucking secret is this shit? All your speak is double speak. And when you look at it in its entirety, it's glaringly obvious that you're communicating shit you're communicating shit as truth that isn't fucking true because you validated Dan's service and he did not fucking serve. 3, I asked some old friends where some public records are now being held and was told which library to go to in order to access the microfiche. My comment was nigh on impossible, not nigh unimpossible. It doesn't matter. It's just nigh impossible. You don't need the on or the un there. Maybe if you spoke right and you didn't fucking mumble through everything. But I think that's by design too, because when you were lividly mad and dropping F-bombs at me, you were pretty clear in your speech. Maybe you should only talk when you're angry. 4, my comment was nigh on impossible, not nigh unimpossible. All right, so I'm to blame because you're a fucking mumbler. It's nigh impossible, nearly impossible. You don't need the on or the un. Not many Daniel Meredith Joneses served in the RN in the mid 90s. That's funny. That's a total fucking flip flop from your statements. There are millions of Daniel Joneses in Wales. Daniel M. Joneses, but M is the most common middle name. Now, there weren't many of them that served. Well, if there weren't many of them that served, how did you fuck it up so badly? Veterans ID card is not official proof of service. Actually, it is. Actually, it is. It's all you need to prove service, and all you have to get it is an actual physical address and your name. That's it. So, how does what you put in here alter my conclusion that you said it's nearly impossible to validate someone's military career in the UK, and minimally you need name, rank, number, and branch? You didn't have the number, Shug. You didn't have the number, and yet, which is the most unique identifier, and you leaned on the least reliable unique identifier in the name because there were so many Daniel M. Joneses. But now you're changing your statement to not many Daniel Meredith Joneses served in the RN in the mid 1990s, except you claimed that you didn't know Dan this whole time, Shug. See, this is why you should just shut the fuck up. Because I've given you enough rope to fucking hang yourself already. Now you're saying not many Daniel Meredith Joneses served in the Royal Navy in the mid 1990s, but this whole time you're saying you didn't have Dan's middle name Meredith. You only had his middle initial. You guys all claimed you didn't have Meredith until you read the article about how he was convicted of fraud and theft against a charitable organization in May of 2023. Your story's changing already, Shug. Number 5, not many Daniel Meredith Joneses served in the Royal Navy in the mid 1990s. Well, why are you putting the Meredith part in? You said you didn't know his middle name. Now you're claiming you knew his middle name. You didn't. Or at least that's what you said. You said you only knew Daniel M. Jones. It's in the same fucking stream, Shug. You changing your fucking story again. Imagine that. POS, proof of service, the official proof of veteran service. So if you didn't have the official proof of service, why were you validating his non-existent military career, Shug? Just asking questions. People want to know, dude. MOD, Ministry of Defense. So how were you validating his military career without the what's your little abbreviation decode, without the proof of service from the Ministry of Defense? What were you going for? I was not looking for the official MOD records. What were you looking for then? What were you looking for? Because when you went looking, you were really worried that Dan was stolen valor, and Josh, I was calling him out on it, and then Josh started in on it too. You're lucky that Josh jumped for the Wrangler thing, which was definitely more important than the Dan thing, but Dan was still stealing from people, and you validated his non-existent career, and now you're changing your fucking story. Slippery like an eel, Shug. Slippery like an eel. God damn it, Shug. Number 5. Not many Daniel Meredith Joneses. The whole time you've been claiming you didn't know Dan's middle name, you only knew the middle initial M, and there were thousands of them, if not more. It's impossible. Now you're claiming you knew his fucking middle name. Jesus Christ, Shug. Did you shoot a hole in every fucking boat you were ever on? Did they all fucking sink? Ex-British intel should be smart enough to tell the same story consistently and not let details like the knowledge or non-knowledge of the middle name out one for changing their fucking story. I don't know, Shug. Your shit doesn't fucking line up, and there's a lot. This is only the most recent shit. There's over a year's worth of shit that I'm just going to drop it drip by drip. Go the fuck away, Shuggy. Disappear. All right, kids, that's it. I'm out. Mark the sarcastic law student. Veen didn't get his fucking money, right? Dan has the money. According to everybody else on the WNN panel, Dan's the one that got the money. So Dan's got the money that Dan just reached, and you guys helped Dan rip off a fucking cancer patient. Dan just reached Chili status when it comes to the fucking... Chili just wished cancer on people. Dan stole money from a charitable cancer foundation in October during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the Susan G. Komen Foundation. He collected money all month for that and never fucking sent it off. And now he ripped off another fucking cancer patient. And you're validating him and assisting him the whole fucking way? Come on, Shuggy. Now the details of your fucking story are changing? You should bust out your dusty fucking wallet and give Veen his fucking money. You should, Shuggy. I would be ashamed and fucking embarrassed if I was you. I wouldn't fucking still be hanging around here doing the oopsie, I made a mistake. There's a lot more, Shuggy. There's a lot more. You double talk, you change your story, all the shit that you've accused me of without any fucking proof. Get ready, Shuggy, because you're getting what you fucking yelled at me about and dropped a million fucking fuck bombs on me while you were acting like a tough guy in front of your fucking 19 simp audience. It's fucking coming, Shuggy. Every fucking bullshit validation for Dan you did, and you're going to be doing a lot of, but I black backtracking, changing fucking details and moving fucking goalposts. If you weren't looking for the official military Ministry of Defense proof of service, then what the fuck were you using to validate Dan? And why are you talking about old contacts at the Old Boys Network to get access to public databases when what that really in plain English meant was I asked some friends, because I'm too dumb enough to know. So I asked some friends where I can look up what I've told everyone are sworn to secrecy records that none of us can talk about. And they said, you just go to this library, you fucking knucklehead. And you went up and looked up shit to find a close match to Dan so you could validate him so your reputation wasn't ruined by being associated with a fucking grifter, which happened anyway. It happened anyway. You should have just told the truth. Dan won't give enough information that we can validate his military career or not. And I'm starting to think maybe I ought not to fucking be here if he's not willing to validate his military service instead of sitting there like a fucking cunt and saying, what business is it of yours? What business is it of mine? I'm an American. You're ripping off Americans. You're lying to Americans. You're grifting to Americans. I could smell it. I could taste it. I could see it. And I have an obligation to my fucking community to make sure shit dicks like you and your water-headed Welsh friends don't come along telling fucking stories which are snotty, pretentious. We're UK people. We're better than everyone. Don't fucking question us. That shitty fucking attitude of yours. That shit, your desire to protect your own reputation over tell the truth is why you're up to your fucking eyeballs in Dan's fucking shit while he ran off with a bag full of fucking money that's got at least fucking 20 grand in it. I'm going to go now before I do something that breaks this truce. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I will see you probably not till, you can breathe a sigh of relief, Shug. I'll be back next Wednesday. Oh, I'll be back next Wednesday. More fucking receipts for Shuggy. Oh, and I got sidetracked when I was talking about it earlier. The intro video. People were critical of me because on my vacation, I make sure on a few days out of the 25 days I spent with my wife and son, by the way, where I dropped $20,000 on what was probably the best vacation I've had in my entire life. And in order to be able to spend some alone time with my wife in our room with a sitting room, I walked my son to the point of exhaustion on a few different nights so that I could get him back to the room and get him to sleep so my wife and I could spend a little time together. and everyone was so hypercritical of me. Yeah, that's just terrible. I'm not going to coddle my son. My son's going to grow up to tell your fucking children what to do. So in the intro video today, you'll see my son voluntarily walking to the beach because he misses walking with daddy the way we did on vacation, and he likes it. So while your kids are fucking face glued to the fucking phone with Cheeto dust covering their lips and fingers, my son wants to get out and walk through the outdoor, not leave the Habit Trail house to get into the Habit Trail car to go to the Habit Trail mall. Fitting way to end. Who the fuck is Alice? A fitting way to end. Hashtag fuck you, Coded. Oh, Shuggy. You want receipts? I got you receipts, buddy.
Hi, how you doing, man? Yeah. Looking good. Everything is fucked up as usual. Let's swim to the moon. Let's climb through the tide. Penetrate the evening that the city sleeps too high. Let's swim out tonight, love. It's our time to try. Heart beside the ocean on our moonlight drive. Let's swim to the moon. Let's climb through the tide. Surrender to the waiting worlds that laugh against our side. Nothing left open and no time to decide. We'll step into a river on our moonlight drive. Let's swim to the moon. Let's climb through the tide. You reach your hand to hold me, but I can't be your guide. Easy, I love you as I watch you float. Fall into it, flowing around. Moonlight drive, baby. Moonlight drive. Come on, baby, gonna take a little ride down by the ocean side. Gonna get real close, get real tight. Baby, don't drown tonight. Down.
Shug, if you weren't looking for official Ministry of Defense records, what were you looking for? The ingredients to spin a fable?